Hari Om, we continue reading Yoga Chudamani Upanishad, and the next mantra will be 43, dietary regulation. So we already touched this in previous mantras, and here we'll go a little bit deeper. So the Sanskrit will be Sasnikhamadhuraharach Chaturtan Shpava Shvitach Bhunjate Shiva Sampritai Mitahara Sa Uchyate. In translation, the diet of a sadhaka, so practitioner, should be soft and sweet. 1/4 of the stomach should remain empty. He who takes food in this way, while remembering the name of Shivas, is said to be Mitahari. I've been taught, like since I was a child, 1/3 solids, 2/3, second thirds of your stomach, actual stomach, not the stomach, but the organ stomach, should be the liquids, and the third should be the air, and this 1/4 should be, let's say, empty. It's like the least, yeah? Second sentence, remembering the name of Shiva, it means your food should be as a gift. Consumption of the food will be as dedication rather than consumption for myself. So that's they will talk about this in the commentary. The mantra states that the diet should be soft and sweet because these are the qualities of a sattvic food. Soft food is moist, does not require excess secretion of digestion enzymes and churning of the stomach to break it down. Sattvic foods, which is fresh, sweet, and bland, provide maximum nutrition and require minimum digestive power to be absorbed. Sattvic diet helps to maintain balance in the system. It's necessary for keeping the strict disciplines mentioned in the previous mantra, Brahmacharya, Mitahara, and Yoga Parayana. So look, the previous mantra, we talk about this in detail. And here they say it should be minimum digestive power and maximum nutrition. One can argue that raw food would be the maximum nutrition, of course. But in yoga, we have this rule that we do not overcook food, of course, like no more than 2-3 minutes. Combinations of the foods, what you eat with what, because some foods kind of cancel the good properties of others. So all this is the whole knowledge of Ayurvedic knowledge. You can learn about this. But it's also always the rule of the less is better, less taking different types of food in the same time. So I told you before, I will not put like more than 4 ingredients in my salad or vegetable plate or anything like that that I'm eating at the same time. Otherwise, it's too much. So the modern culture, it's all about a lot of layers, a lot of like, I don't know, burgers, sandwiches. You put so many different layers. For me, if I have like a sandwich, I would say, or whatever, I don't eat burgers, but if I put like a sandwich or whatever I call it, buterbrot in Eastern European style. So I put 1 piece of bread, whatever, bread or cracker, whatever I have, and 1 ingredient on top. I never put 2, 3 more, this kind of stuff, because for me it's just like, oh my God, why? I don't know, feel the food taste when I do with it. But people, love this kind of stuff. So think about what are you doing with your digestive? How much of it will you absorb at the end? How much you're just going to go through and put the enormous stress of your digestive tract, yeah? Leaving 1/4 of the stomach empty is important rule of yoga as well as of Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is the science, it's probably described. The science of life advocates that the proper digestion and absorption of nutrition, half the stomach should be filled with solid food. I told you 1/3, better rule. 1/4 with the water, and the remaining 1/4 should remain empty. The empty proportion of the stomach is necessary to allow space for proper churning and digestion of the meal, churning, kind of mixing and digestion, and you always have to leave the space for gases and other stuff, yeah? This aids the fast and efficient metabolization of nutrition and ensures the optimum health of the digestive system. And majority of disease, chronic disease, they're coming from here, from your gut, and you know that even your mood, your mental state, emotions come from there. And a lot of more medical scientists or psychologists start talking about this, how it's affecting us. Another reason for these injunctions is that employment of the food should not be considered as a principal objective in life. So remember that you live to eat or you eat to live, yeah. That's very, very, very important point. And food for us, it's for yogis, it's another way of give your gifts to the Lord God, existence. It's the way to balance yourself as well. So, as I told you, balance your pitas and vata, so you balance your gunas. And also we do use the eating or not eating, mostly fasting, cleansing, to assist our practice. Excess in tasty food, it's mean like too much, overeating and too much tasty food should not be consumed due to the greed or for the gratification of the senses. So all this, I talked about this before, I think in Pranayama series, more about the hedonism movement that developed and was popular in ancient Greek times, as I understand, when people indulged themselves with the food. And if you look any gravures of pictures on vases of ancient Greece or on the walls somewhere in the chambers, they draw people lying down and a lot of food, and they've been eating it lying down, so they can't even sit or walk. They had even special room when they were like they're eating so much, and then they had to go and empty themselves there, so they induced the vomit, and then they come back so they can have more. And because they probably was people mostly high society who realizing we should indulge ourselves. And there was similar in, as I understand, in the times of kings in Europe as well, when people had to lie down or go in and empty themselves so they can continue the food. There's something very, very wrong with that if you think about it. And they were not doing this to like, sometimes people have problem and they empty themselves so they don't consume this food, that they eat the food for taste and then they empty the stomach so they don't get put on weight. So some of the mostly girls trying to do that when they're a little bit confused in their life. Back in the day, like what I described, they were doing this so they can taste more in the same time and continue the feast, which is absolutely hurtful for your body, for the digestion tract, and you end up with a big problem, a chronic disease. But it's also just wrong for the energetic perspective and a perspective of what is food for us humans as a gifts. Generally, it is food ingested with greed or desire for taste that feeds the body. This greed is also a symptom of indiscipline. The yogi disciplines the mind, controls the urge for pleasure, and maintains maximum health by correct dietary habits, which are necessary for advanced sadhanas. And you do know this, the moment you sleep off that or eat a little bit too much or whatever, how it's dramatically drop you back in your practice, in your feeling, in your emotions. And I had this, like, it's enormous. It's also who you talk to and communicate with, very affecting this, your patterns. I never had a taste for something, for example, I don't know, bag of chips, like they sell in the supermarket. But the moment sometimes you even see somebody eating it, or you talk to somebody, and probably this person had this bag of chips or was thinking about it, you're walking home and you're like, oh my God, why I want that in specific type of food? And for somebody it sounds like weird, but this person didn't even mention to me, I didn't even see it, but it's transmitted to me through the energies, these desires. Just be very, very careful about that. And it also happens with addictions, like consumptions of particular alcoholic drinks or smoking, something like that. Substances often. I was surprised, like recently I watched some movie and it was kind of like middle-aged, older people movie. Quite nice location, good actors, beautiful settings and dresses, and absolutely ridiculous topic of the movie. There's nothing you can get from that. But in every shot, the main characters or anybody else were holding the glass with wine or something. And that's what gives you, like, that there was not a moment in the movie when they were not holding the glass or having conversation without the glass, or not in the restaurant holding the glass with the expensive wine. So it's advertising and promotion of this. This is normal, you have to do this. Especially if you're sophisticated, middle-aged, or having meeting with your friends. It's shocking. It's imprinted on your subconscious when you watch this kind of stuff. The sadhaka also observes moderation in diet by accepting the meal as prasad. And that's what I told you in the previous Prasad is if you ever tried prasad in your life, you will never come back to normal food. Prasad is the normal food, but just the way it's prepared, with keeping in mind that you give it as a gift to the God or Lord or whatever, universe. And a little prayer, little dedication, and you always give some of your food put away for dedicated to your altar or to, anyway, just go to the garden, give it to the birds. So you offer them some of your food first, and then you can consume it. So it's a gift or divine to sustain and nourish the body. But remembering Shiva or God name while taking food, it could be your own God, whatever your religion, it could be just, if you're atheist, it's not the God, it's universe or physics law, anything, like that, it's still something, yeah. So you're taking the food, and one can change the mental attitude towards food from sensual pleasure to divine communion. And that's exactly what they're saying. So if you try it like that, and you ever done it with, in a group of ashram or something like that, you will see like the most simplest food, I don't know, cauliflower and salad and some lentils might taste like divine amrit that the gods eating. And I experienced this. It was like absolutely simple food, but we were doing this intense practices in the way we were eating. And we also practice when we're quiet, so we don't talk all day to anybody. And it was the best meal I ever had in my life. I tried to cook it exactly the same way, but it's the energies that's more important, not even the ingredients. Yeah. Therefore, it is stated that one should remember God at meal times. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, a similar sentiment has been echoed in the statement: "Consider every action as sacrifice to God, for you are not the doer, not the enjoyer." This attitude is known in yoga as Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to God. And Bhagavad Gita, it's the part of the Mahabharata, where you, one of the parts is huge. I think it's 11, there's 11 volumes, big volumes, and you can read all of them, and it's a lot of kind of stories through the people life and ancient people life and how they interact with the gods. It's described all the main philosophy of yoga practice, enlightenment and God and all this stuff. But Bhagavad Gita, many people start with that, so it's kind of one of the chapters, conversation of Krishna, and in these conversations you kind of like mostly cover the most topics throughout. So start with that if you're interested. Maybe we should read it together. Constant remembrance of God during meals implies that this becomes a time of inner silence and contemplation, rather than extroversion, social hour of chatting and dissipated thought. And that's my attitude. I do like consume food by myself or with my loved ones, but without extra chatting. And it is the ritual. Can you imagine? It's one of the things that we all do, but it's the one time when if you are consuming food and you're talking with somebody about unrelated topics, something that happened back in the time or future or distant, you're not focusing on consumption of the food. And you will lose these energies and benefit from it with this consumption, and it will end up like consuming it, not consume, when you eat it. So you will losing the benefits and positive energies. It's same like in the yoga. If you practice on a mat, some asana, and your mind somewhere else, they'll be like, instead of 100% of your practice and energy goes into this practice benefits, only whatever 10% of your awareness will be there. So everything you would do mechanically and thinking about something else, we're losing this energy and we don't do it in the presence properly. So same with the food. That's why I don't like when people gathering and they do it with the food, So it's not for me. I don't go for dinners and this kind of stuff. And some people think that I'm a social person, but I just not, I don't, or I'm consuming food, focusing on it, or I'm communicating and focusing on that, Of course, they're also drinking at the same time, so it's absolutely not my lifestyle. Social eating leads to unawareness, and discipline and sensory indulgence, whereas contemplative meal times lead to discipline of the senses and awareness of intake. In this way, the quantity of food in the stomach does not exceed the recommended 1/2 of solids, 1/4 for water, and 1/4 empty. In order to facilitate constant remembrance of God at meal times, Mauna or silence should be practiced while eating by sincere sadhakas, especially during periods of intensive sadhana. So I suggest you to practice this, the silence, when you're trying to consume the food. I know it's a very absolutely maybe weird idea for modern, especially Western world. When people, the first thing is people eating too late. For me, it's impossible. When I moved to Western country, it was shocking for me because from my homeland, we do eat main meal during the lunchtime here, in the Western world. So from 1 till 3, that's the time when you, anytime, eat your main meal. And in ashrams and yogas as well, it's practiced. So you have breakfast about 9, 10 o'clock, 10 probably. First, meal and something lighter, usually fruits or oatmeal, something like that, smoothie. Usually fruit-dominated type of breakfast, nuts and stuff and seeds. And then lunch, there's no lunch. And then you have 5 o'clock, the main meal. Anytime I was in ashram doing practices, that was our timetable. So you have about 4, 5 o'clock meal. And that's why I do practice at home, sometimes even earlier, 3, 4, because you are getting like the most hungry and the most fire in your digestive tract. So you should eat about 3 o'clock to 4 or something. Definitely before 6. Everything consumed after 6, 7. It's time for preparation for the bed, time for slowing down the process in the body. And then you're eating these heavy foods, and there's also people eating, oh my God, meat or something heavy, compacted, long digestive. And they end up with a heavy stomach, bad sleep, no sleep, bad digestion, swollenness, mucus collected in the body, disease excreted if you have any chronic disease. There's no time for body to heal. So every time you eat, think what you eat, where you eat, how you eat it, with whom, who prepared that food, what dedication was for that food. Because you are what you eat, most of it. Every cell in your body, if you think about it, every part of your cell, every atom come from the air you breathe, water you drink, and the food you consume on the physical level. I hope you cleanse yourself and become more serious about that. What you consume and what you listen while you consume the food. Or maybe you stay in silence. Hari Om.